Good afternoon, everyone. I want to take a minute to talk about menopause and the potential for Elite to help with that. So, menopause is not something we talk about, and I say that with all of my patients, but it's particularly important to talk about because it tends to be a massive change in our system. So, many people are aware of the traditional effects of menopause, the hot flashes, the lack of sleep, difficulty sometimes with emotions, those types of things. And then there's some lesser known or less discussed effects of having no estrogen in our body, including loss of bone mass being a large one. So cortisol actually plays a role in this, which is why it's very exciting to see something come out that is helpful in helping to regulate our cortisol. During our regular cycle, when we're having menstrual cycles and having normal hormone release from the body, that's being released largely from our ovaries. However, we also have something called our adrenal glands that help release hormones into our body, and they sit sort of like little hats on top of our kidneys. And that's where our cortisol mostly comes from. And hormones are also released from other places in your body, specifically your ovaries for women, throughout most of their life until they reach menopause. Unfortunately, once your adrenals have been pumping out huge amounts of cortisol for years and years and years, they actually start to get tired, and you get something called adrenal fatigue, which often we're pretty good at regulating that and helping with that and offsetting that while we have a full plethora of hormones in our bodies. However, once we hit menopause, we don't have hormones coming from a lot of other places, so our adrenal glands become more important because that becomes a source of hormones for us. So if our cortisol has been unregulated and then it makes our adrenal glands somewhat sluggish, the ability for those hormones to help with some of the side effects of menopause are quite limited. Now, we still have a huge decreasing amount of estrogen. However, by helping our cortisol come down, we can hopefully help some of the unpleasant side effects of menopause. Now, some of the side effects that we don't talk about, and one that Elite helps with specifically, is about the absorption of calcium. So without the protective benefit of estrogen in our system, menopausal women start to break down bone faster than they are making it. Although we can't completely make that untrue, we can't have you building bone faster than we break it down. We can't reverse that. We can make sure that there's enough calcium in your system so that you're making as much bone as will allow. So Elite actually helps with the absorption of calcium to ensure that there's maximal calcium in your system to help create an optimal environment for that calcium to create healthy bone, which is important as we age gracefully, I like to say. So I hope this has been helpful in understanding why Elite can be helpful to the menopausal woman, including helping regulate our cortisol to get our adrenals functioning as well as possible so we can cope with some of the unpleasant side effects of having less hormone in our body, and as well as protecting us a little bit from that bone loss that occurs with menopause. See you next time.